Hey, hi everybody. Welcome again to another edition of the Talk Table. This is where we talk about various topics that affect you, topics about you. We get professionals in their various fields to talk about things that, you need to know about. And today is no different. Today we're going to talk about hair loss, especially in our women of color. Right. So we're going to have on today a professional in dermatology, Kendra Joseph. And she's going to tell us all about how we're supposed to protect our hair and what to do and what not to do in terms of hair loss. Let's bring her on now. Kendra, hi. Welcome to the show.
Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Why can't you hear me? You hear me now? Oh, okay. All right, technical difficulties. Why not? So she's going to be back. And in the meantime, don't forget to leave your questions in the comments below for her. If you have any specific questions you want to know about hair loss, leave it in the comments below and we will address them. Feel free to ask her what concerns you. Hair loss right now is a huge problem, especially in the African American community, because a lot has to do with what we do to our own hair, right? Different styles and different ways we have our hair. So we're going to try to just address that for you when she comes back on. And we're still having some technical difficulties, so just bear with us. All right. So again, leave your comments below, and we will have you. Okay, we're still having difficulties. Not sure why. Okay, difficulties. Why? All right, we're having a problem with audio. Apparently, she cannot hear me, although I can hear her. Okay, while we wait, what are some of the problems you may be facing right now with your hair? You can just leave it below and we try to figure that out. Let's see if she's on now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I am
Yeah, there we
here.
go. There we go.
There we go.
Just leave me out there to dry. Why don't you? So, right. So you're back, and we were talking about hair loss and what causes it and what is it, and we've heard of the term dermatologist before, right? What I want to know is,
Yeah.
what is a dermatology PA?
So I'm glad you asked that because I almost get this very often when I'm working in the office. So simply put, well, first I'll give you a little background about me. I am a dermatology PA. I was born and raised in the Bronx. My parents are also of West Indian background. But as you mentioned, I am a PA. And so what that means is I'm a licensed clinician that practices medicine. So I practice in the state of New York and I work alongside a dermatologist. So I'm able to see patients, evaluate patients, diagnose patients, come up with a treatment plan, order diagnostic tests like labs. We can do biopsies, pretty much in line with a dermatologist. So I see patients on a daily basis independently alongside a dermatologist, as well as other members of the team, like medical assistants and nurses, etc.
And I may be wrong, but sometimes you can see patients on your own, even though the dermatologist is not there. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's correct. So it used to be back in the day that they have to be on site, but now with the new laws, they don't have to be actually anywhere near you. You can see patients independently, but that's really between you and the practice or the organization that you're working at.
So why talk about hair loss with women of color? Why is that so much of a good topic for you?
So it's one of my passions. It's one of the things that I actually love to see and treat. Well, not see. It's actually very devastating for people who have this condition. But I actually want to show a patient that I saw recently, a real patient that I saw. I don't know if you have that picture, if you can place it on the screen. Yeah, so this is hair loss, and this is one of the types of hair loss that we're going to be talking about today that's seen predominantly in women of color, specifically of African descent. So if you're Black, you're more at risk for this type of hair loss. And so, Jerry, I know that you are not like a hair person or professional, but looking at this picture, like how old would you say this person is?
Maybe 65, maybe 70.
Okay. I mean, I wish I could actually see who's watching and ask if they agree with you. But that was a decent guess. But you're actually dead wrong. Um, this patient, if you can see, I literally took a photo of it, so I can't identify who she is or anything like that. But I saw her back in July of this year, and she is actually 30 years old.
Oh wow.
Right? So she came in. Yep,
Wow.
she came in. She actually had a piece on, like a wig, and she came in because she was concerned about hair loss. And then when she removed her wig, this is pretty much what I saw, right? So I don't want to age myself, but I'm actually over 30, and this used to be like considered an old people's condition. Like, oh, when you get old,
Mhm.
everyone knows that you lose your hair. But as I continue on in my practice, I'm seeing younger and younger women with this condition, right? Now, you also asked me why hair loss, why women of color. So this month is actually Alopecia Awareness Month. And there's a congresswoman, I don't know if you saw this in the news, but there's a congresswoman, her name is Ayanna Pressley. You're shaking your head, so I think you might have
I
heard,
have.
heard of
I
it.
heard about it. Yes.
Yeah, so she revealed that she actually had alopecia. So she has alopecia areata, which is a different form. It's an autoimmune kind of condition. But if you follow the story, you could see that it was really, an emotional issue for her to kind of reveal to the world, right? She was known for having hair, then little by little her hair started coming out, and she started wearing like different wigs and different pieces to kind of conceal. And
Mhm.
then people in the media and social media were being really rude and really mean to her. And then on the opposite end, she really had some supporters as well, saying, we're here with you, we are with you, and things like that. Lastly, I know I'm talking a little too much, but lastly,
You're fine.
specifically women of colors. So we know that hair loss is not unique to just women of color, right? And it's not just unique to women either, but specifically women of color, due to all the things that are going on right now, like, all the social injustice that you're hearing, I know that's not the talk for tonight. But, with those things that have occurred, it actually has placed a magnifying lens in medicine and specifically in dermatology. And we are actually now, more aware of the disparities. For example, I trained like several years ago, and in the textbooks that I actually learned from, there weren't many pictures like the one I showed you. You could barely find any photos like that. And if you think about it, that's kind of crazy
Right.
because if you have a textbook that's supposed to be training and teaching the people that are taking care of other people, it's not a wide variety of the actual population that we're
Right.
treating. And
It's
that's
not
important
representative.
because, say it again?
It's not representative of the
Yes,
entire
good word.
population.
It's not representative of the population at all. And that's important because if you go and you see someone that has never actually seen what this kind of hair loss looks like in women of color, then they're probably going to misdiagnose you for something else. And then if the diagnosis is not right, then the treatment plan is also not going to be right. So, I found that, through media like this, like, talking about it, people can be more aware of what it is and
Mhm.
getting the right help.
And For me, I like this topic because it's a really sensitive topic. Because women, obviously, their hair is like their crown. It's part of their beauty, and you don't want to say don't wear your hair certain ways, but there's a right way and a wrong way. So that's why I like this topic so much today.
So you bring up actually a good point. So, I don't know, that's not the talk for today, whether having hair or not having hair makes you beautiful. I really think beauty comes from within.
Mhm.
But, I also think that as a woman or as a human being, you should be able to express yourself, and how you want to wear your hair is a part of that. And so having that option to express yourself, you first have to have healthy hair. Whether you want to shave it off or braid
Right.
it, and any of that, that's completely up to you. But first you have to make sure your hair is healthy.
Healthy.
And so again, I like talking about this topic. And I think, once we kind of go through a few more things, I hope that the people that are watching actually have a better understanding of like what it is.
So we the in the flyers that we passed around online and
Yeah.
everything, you talked about the most common form of hair loss,
Yeah.
and what exactly is that?
So the most common form of hair loss in women of color. So first off, to break things down, in the derm world, we usually categorize alopecia or hair loss into two umbrellas. First, we have scarring, then we have non-scarring. So scarring, like the name kind of says, is when the hair follicles are scarred down, or if there's scar tissue, and that just simply means the hair follicles won't grow, right? Now with Black women, I know I said the most common, but there are actually three that are very common. So one, we have traction alopecia. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Yes, you do. You don't? Okay, so traction is just like what the name says, right? So I actually have a little bit of traction. Like, it's pretty much when your edges, for the lack of a better word,
Oh yeah.
your edges or your hairline is pretty much gone due to tension, right? So whether it's a tight ponytail, or if it's any kind of tight style, anything that brings tension to your hair, braids, weaves, all these different things, it actually damages your hair to where there's not that much of the hairline left. There's also breakage that's very common in African American women, and that's usually because our hair type is usually a little bit drier than other ethnicities, so we suffer from a lot of breakage. But the one that we're going to be talking about today is actually called CCCA, and that's an abbreviation because it's a very long word, and I know my sister hates when I use all these medical terms. So we're just going to abbreviate it as CCCA. But I'm just going to do one time for the night, say exactly what that stands for, and that is centrifugal cicatricial alopecia.
Wow. Say that 3 times
I
fast.
can't. I cannot. So if you want, you can actually read it, or I can read the definition of exactly what it is.
CCCA, see, I couldn't even say the acronym, occurs most exclusively in Black women over the age of 30. Symptoms include burning, itching, tenderness, redness, scaling and flaking, and
Yep.
acne-like bumps on the scalp. Some
Yep.
people do not experience symptoms at all.
Yep. So that's exactly right. So if you go a little before that, it says it's a disease characterized by permanent hair loss that begins at the center or the top of your scalp and widens over time. So if you look there, you can see that it's a progressive condition, meaning once it starts really small, and then it tends to kind of spread out, spread out, spread out. And then, as we mentioned before, this is actually under the umbrella of a scarring alopecia. Now, when I explain that to my patients, some of them literally start crying in tears. When you say the word scar, it usually invokes like this type of emotion because, people are aware once you have scar tissue, the chances of your hair growing back is very low. I don't want to say no, that it will never grow back, but the chances of it growing back is very slim, right? But this is me being transparent and honest with my patients. I'm usually very straightforward. So, when I talk about it, I'm just straight to the point. But I also am aware because I'm also of color and I also have, done my hair in different ways. So I'm also aware in terms of the behavioral practices because I myself do them and have done them to in the past.
So, what are those practices? Like, what do we do to our hair that would cause that?
Okay, so when it comes to CCCA, just to give you like a little bit of history, it actually used to be called hot comb alopecia. Like that literally was the name. Like you can Google it right now and you'll see that in the 50s and the 60s, that's what it was called. And we predominantly saw it in African American women that used to use a hot comb. You know what a hot comb is, right?
Yeah, actually, I used to see my sister and my mom doing it. I was like, what in the world are they doing to themselves? Like, it's hot for crying out loud. But yeah,
It's hot, but it helps to straighten your hair if your hair is really curly. And, for anyone that has done it back in the day or even now, you know that usually you apply some kind of product to your hair. So back in the day, there's like, a product that's called Blue Magic or even Vaseline. You apply it to your hair and then you use that hot comb to straighten it out. Now, the researchers, they saw that, again, it happened in African American women. And the thought was that they thought that the petrolatum or the Vaseline used to like trickle down the hair to the actual scalp and then cause inflammation and scar down the hair follicles. But then later on, we found that even women that did not use hot combs actually had the same condition, right? So,
um,
so it's not just like a heat thing. I think heat contributes to
I
it.
thought it was, but I guess not. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just heat, but there are anything that's traumatic, right? Anything that's going to cause trauma. So your hair should never, ever, 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 ever be hurting, right? So pain is also a no, a no. Like you don't want your scalp to hurt. Tenderness, itching is also a big no-no. There's no time where your scalp should actually be itchy, right? So if you're doing anything, whether it be styling or just in general, if you have pain or itching, those are usually signs that something is wrong and you should actually go and get checked out. But, hairstyling practices, although not every single woman will have the same history in terms of how they wear their hair, we have to be careful that we're not doing anything traumatic. And then also recently, we found that there is actually a gene that Black women have that makes them at greater risk for this condition,
Oh wow.
right? I'm not sure if you have that photo. I'm not sure if I gave it to you, but I guess that's too much information. No one probably wants to know exactly what the name of the gene is, but if
Yeah.
you do, you can always like message me. But there's actually a gene that's been isolated that if you have that gene, you're more at risk. Also, we found different things that don't cause CCCA, but is actually associated, meaning the people who have CCCA also have these conditions. So that's type 2 diabetes, also vitamin D deficiency. So this is a study where they found the association. Also, I said vitamin D deficiency. So if you have a low vitamin D, and then also fibroids, right? So we don't really know why we're seeing these other conditions in people with CCCA. We don't really know exactly why we see that, but we are seeing a trend. And if you take a look at all of those conditions that I just listed, low vitamin D, fibroid, type 2 diabetes, these are things that are seen in the African American population, right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the risk factors in addition to how we're taking care of our hair. If you have any of those other issues, you want to make sure those things are under control.
So, what can cause this? What's the cause of CCCA?
So again, we don't know exactly what it is, and it's my belief that it's not just one thing, it's a combination of things. So it's how you're styling your hair, if there's too much trauma, like if you're using really harsh chemicals that's going to burn you, for example, like a relaxer that was left in too long, or if you're, back in the day, I'm guilty of this too, if you go to a particular salon every 2 weeks and you get a wash and set, and then you're sitting under the dryer with very high heat for 30 minutes or more, and you're doing that every 2 weeks. You may think at the time, oh, my hair looks amazing after, but after years of doing that chronically, that actually brings damage to your hair follicles. So, like I said, trauma
Mhm.
usually is a part of it. Genetics, we spoke about that gene.
Okay.
So those are probably the things that I think are most contributing to CCCA.
And how do you know if you have it?
So how do you know if you have it? So, I just want to put it out there that the aim of this talk is not to make you dermatologists, not to make you like a skincare or scalp expert. You are not to self-diagnose. The whole idea is for you to actually know that this exists. And that's the first sign, is actually seeing your, so most of us, we can't see our scalp, right? I'm wearing my own hair for today, which I know people are like, what? She wears her own hair? She never wears her own hair. But for the talk, I'm actually wearing my own hair today. And if you look, I never almost look at the top of my scalp, right? I usually leave that for my stylist that does my hair. But it's a good idea if you're the one doing your hair at home, then you want to actually take a look, and if the part width is wide, then, or if you notice that your hair looks thinner, all of those things you want to actually bring to someone's attention. Um, and so, again, this is not for you to be an expert or for you to diagnose and start Googling
Right.
and going crazy, right? But you want to see your healthcare provider, specifically, hopefully, someone with a special interest in skin of color conditions, so then they're going to be more likely to pick it up. I can tell you that some of my colleagues that are not of color, or maybe they don't have a special interest in skin of color, they oftentimes will miss the diagnosis. Sometimes you can actually have a combination of different types of alopecia. So that's really important too. You can have female common baldness mixed in with CCCA. You can have another that's called, lichen planopolaris. Like there's a slew of different kinds of hair loss, right? So it's important for you to go to an expert, someone who's licensed, someone who actually sees patients all the time with this condition, so that they can guide you into the right things to do. Also, one more thing. So I always talk about trauma. You want to make sure your stylist is not rough. So I know in the Black community, I don't know if you've experienced this. I know you have sister and your mom,
Yeah.
but they always think, when we're doing our hair, we always think that if it's tighter, it's better, right? It's gonna last longer. It's gonna look neater. I'm gonna get my money's worth, but that's not true, right? Like I said before, your scalp should never, ever, ever be hurting. Usually pain, like we all know, is a sign that something is wrong. So it's better for us to take heed now so that we can prevent things in the future.
So wait. If it's tighter, the better. Are you talking about weaves?
I'm talking about everything under the sun. So, like I said, I want to say, like, no shade. Like, I'm not trying to be condescending or anything like that, because I too, like, literally, I have had every single type of hairstyle under the sun. The only thing that I have not done is shave my head completely bald or lock my hair like dreadlocks. But I've dyed it, I've curled it, I've crimped it, I've weaved it, I've twisted it, I've worn wigs, as you can see in the flyer. I wear wigs. And I'm not advocating that you do all of that. I'm actually kind of saying it's better to not do so much, right? I think as women, we're always trying to be trendy and, the latest like trend that's out, we want to do it. But less is actually more in this case, right? You don't want your scalp to be hurting, because that's going to cause trauma to your follicles. And then, if I'm being frank, your hair should actually just grow how it is naturally from your scalp. When we try to do the most, and we dye and we fry and we blow dry and whatever else, it creates problems, right? But I'm not a stylist. That is not what I do. I love my stylist, actually. Shout out to Kevin Jackson. But you really want to make sure you have a great relationship with your hairstylist if it's not you at home. You want to make sure that they're being gentle with your hair, because a lot of even breakage can be from like lots of manipulation. And you also want to make sure that you're not doing too much.
And you want to make sure your hairstylist is sanitary and clean. I would,
Absolutely. So that's a good point. So we didn't touch on that. I kind of harped on trauma, but you want to make sure they're clean, because even this, or not really this form of hair loss, but there's another form of hair loss that actually comes from a fungus, right? So tinea capitis is usually when there's a fungus or like an overgrowth of the organism on your scalp, and that also creates hair loss. And if it's not treated appropriately, that could also be scarring, meaning the hair won't grow. So you want to make sure, like you said, you're going to someone who's practicing good hygiene, and you just want to be attentive, right? You want to make sure that you're also taking a look at your scalp.
Yeah, so like speaking as a guy, we like how you girls wear your hair and you look nice and everything. I don't know if women wear hairstyles to impress the guys or the girls because it's a kind of competition thing. I don't know what it is, but all we ask is that you do it safely. Right? You can do it. That's fine. You can do it safely. All right. So,
can I just say one more thing? One more.
Oh, go ahead.
We're not going to debate that. I know that's not what we're here for, but I just wanted to say, like, there are actually a lot of women who, change the way how they function because of their hair, because they're trying to impress someone else, right? So, for example, I've had a patient tell me, she's dating someone, and they've never seen her hair because she's embarrassed because she has alopecia, right? So it's my belief that, one, whoever you're with, they should accept you for you. That's one. But you really just want to make sure that you're trying to catch things early. Don't be shy to look for help because there is lots of help out there. Just make sure you're, taking a look, talking to the right people, and usually things get better.
Awesome. We are going to take a quick break because when we come back, we want to give away some stuff. All right. Yeah. We want to give away a prize. To enter for the prize, you have to enter the hashtag Kendra J Derm PA in the comments. Enter the hashtag Kendra J Derm PA in the comments, and you'll enter and you'll be eligible for the prize. All right. Once again, hashtag Kendra J Derm PA. You'll be eligible for the prize. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Kendra Joseph, Dermatology PA.
I'm Kendra Joseph, and I'm a dermatology PA. I am currently practicing in New York. I love seeing and treating people from all walks of life. One of the most basic yet important questions I like to ask is, what brings you into the office today? Hi, how are you today? From there, I've heard so many great stories that go way beyond the skin. I pride myself in taking a detailed history as well as doing a very thorough exam. I also enjoy explaining to patients exactly what's going on with their skin. I work with an amazing team. They are some of the best and brightest who provide support so that we all can provide our patients with the best possible care. Above all else, my aim is to educate my patients while performing the latest and greatest treatments and overall improving the quality of their lives. If this too is also your aim, I'd be happy to see you soon.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. We're here with Dermatology PA Kendra Joseph, and we're talking about hair loss. And I want you to talk a little bit about the generational thing about braids or different kinds of hair, because it seems to be going on and on and on from generation to generation.
Yeah, so one of the things that we mentioned before is that it's genetic, right? So there's literally a gene. But as we mentioned also before, it's really a large portion of our behavioral practices, meaning how we actually style our hair. So, your mom typically is the one who is the first person to take care of your hair. And then when you get older, you take care of your daughter's hair. And it kind of goes on and on and on and on and on, right? So here's a great picture that I saw that kind of helps depict that. You have one person braiding the next person's hair, then they're braiding the next person's hair. So it's really kind of a generational disease as well, right? So if you're able to kind of break the chain, break the cycle, and get out of the idea that tighter is better, I'm not saying not to do braids. I can never tell you how to style your hair. That's your personal choice. But I think it's important that you are aware that nothing should be tight. And then also the length of the hair is important. So, when it comes to the length of the hair, usually if you are wearing braids, for example, or if you have even your own locks, If it's very long, like past your shoulder, for example, that sometimes can um, have weight to it, right? So we know from basic physics, the pull of gravity is downward. So if you're pulling on the top part of your hair, that's also going to create traction and lead you to have hair loss. So you have to really be mindful of certain things, like making sure your hair is not too tight, making sure that it's not too long. And then if you do want to wear long hair, then you have to think of things to offset that gravity, right? Like putting your hair all the way up. That may be a solution for you as opposed to wearing it down all the time where you can develop traction.
Wow. I mean, I know we're talking about women, but I've seen guys wearing braids and they go bald, but I'm not sure if it's just natural male pattern baldness or the braids. It's kind of hard to tell. I tend not to wear braids because it's just not my I'll
Yeah,
just
you
stick.
have full head of hair. It's great.
All right,
Good for you.
so we've been enjoying the talk so far, and what is the one thing? Oh, and we also have some people. Just before I go into that, we have some people who are entering to win. Don't forget, if you want to win the prize, enter the
Yeah,
hashtag Kendra J Durham PA
that's
hashtag
correct.
Kendra J Durham PA in the comments, and your name will be entered to win. All right. So what is the one thing you like to, one of the things you like us to take away from what you're talking about as we close?
So one thing, so that's kind of hard. But if you take nothing away from anything that you heard this evening, I want you to know that whether you're a man or you're a woman, you're of color, you're not, I want you to know that your scalp should never hurt, right? Whether it's styling or whether it's just by itself, it should never hurt. It should never be itchy. So you want to stop anything that's traumatic, right? Your hair should be handled with care. So again, if you're working with someone that's doing your hair and they're not taking their time, you may want to mention it to them and then reconsider finding someone else. Um, and I guess those are the real main take-home points. Definitely, if you see something, say something. You want to make sure you're speaking with your experienced healthcare provider, whether that be a dermatologist or a derm PA or a derm NP, someone who is familiar with this condition, who treats it on a regular basis. Because as you can see, it can appear in a lot of different ways. Like here's a picture that you can see CCCA in all its many different forms. There's also a few other ways that it can look. Like this one here just looks like breakage, right? So breakage could actually be the first sign of CCCA. And what we said before is that it's progressive, so it tends to keep going if nothing is actually done. So you want to make sure that you're taking a look at your scalp. Oh, this is another form of CCCA, right? So if you take a look here, you can see that on the scalp, there's some shiny areas where the hair is not growing, and that's like a hallmark sign of CCCA. If you see something, say something. Try to get help as fast as you can. And then also break the chain, right? So if you're taking care of someone else who's your child or your niece or something, just make sure you're not doing their hair tightly.
Um, I've heard this where some hairstylists actually pride themselves in how tight they can make those tiny braids. Like I'm so skilled, I can make it really, really tight. So when you
Yep.
say when you feel something, you say something, or what's that effect? I
Yes.
would think you should tell them, hey, I know you're good,
Yes.
but kind of ease off on the
Yes.
don't make it as tight.
Yes. So I've even done that myself, but some people, they do it out of habit because they're so used to doing it that tightly. And then also they may rush you because they may have other clients to take care of. They may just want to get you in and get you out because they're not really paying attention to how hard they're pulling on your hair. So, you just want to have that conversation with them, like you said. And if they're not listening, then you have to find somebody else.
Awesome. Okay, and where can people go to find more information and more help with this?
So, that's a great question. You want to maybe do a search online. There's a great society. It's called the Skin of Color Society, and it's a group of dermatology healthcare professionals that have a special interest in skin of color. They have articles about the most common conditions within skin of color and what it looks like. Most importantly, they also have a directory. So they actually have a listing of people that you can go to see. And it's also an international platform. So if you go there, you can actually go to the directory and you may find someone who's based in Australia or, somewhere else in the world. So I would check out the Skin of Color Society organization and, look there as a source. I'm also available if you're in the New York area. You can also come and see me. But definitely there is help out there. So just make sure you see someone.
All right. Awesome. We're going to take a final break. And after this, we're going to announce the winner of who's going to get some free prizes. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, hashtag Kendra J PA, and you'll be in for the winning. Let's see if we can get in there. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
I'm Kendra Joseph, and I'm a dermatology PA. I am currently practicing in New York. I love seeing and treating people from all walks of life. One of the most basic yet important questions I like to ask is, what brings you into the office today?
Hi, how are you today? I'm doing well.
From there, I've heard so many great stories that go way beyond the skin. I pride myself in taking a detailed history as well as doing a very thorough exam. I also enjoy explaining to patients exactly what's going on with their skin. I work with an amazing team. They are some of the best and brightest who provide support so that we all can provide our patients with the best possible care. Above all else, my aim is to educate my patients while performing the latest and greatest treatments and overall improving the quality of their lives. If this too is also your aim, I'd be happy to see you soon.
All right. So we are back. We're back with Kendra Joseph, and we want to find out who won. So thanks to all of you who entered to win. Don't forget to check out her Facebook page, her Instagram page. You can ask her more questions. You can get more information about your skin in general, not just hair loss, right? Because that's what dermatology is all about. So yeah, check out her page. Go to Kendra J PA page and schedule a consultation. Oh,
yeah,
we
I think
have
someone asked a question, like how can they schedule a consultation?
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Sheeta. So I am based in New York, and I think the quickest way to get in contact with me or to schedule a consultation would be to go to zocdoc.com. So that's ZOCDOC.com. And then you just simply type in my name. And it's a really great search engine because you can see if your insurance is accepted and the time and days are really accurate. So whatever you see available is actually the appointment slots I have available. So you can check out ZocDoc.com and then also put in my name, Kendra Joseph, and then that's how you can find me.
All right. So let's announce the winner.
Drum roll. Okay, no drum roll.
That's my drum.
Okay. So who do we have? Let's see.
All right. So let's see. Got our random app here to juggle the names. And the winner for today is Sheeta.
All
Sheeta.
right.
Sheeta, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, sorry. But you have won a prize today. What you can do is to send your information, message me with the information privately so we can send you that prize.
Yeah, and so I just want to go over what the prize is. I'm sure
that will help.
I actually have the prize here. So it's actually an Aveeno product. So it's an Aveeno Eczema Therapy Itch Relief Balm. So even if you don't have eczema, or even if you don't have any issues with your skin, we are changing seasons right now. So I don't know where you are in the world, but over here on the East Coast, we are changing from summer to fall, and we all know that your skin sometimes can get dry. So I just want to encourage people to make sure that they are moisturizing on a daily basis. So Rashida is going to get this product, and the main ingredient is colloidal oatmeal. I guess you can't really see, but the colloidal oatmeal is actually a grain. Everybody's familiar with oatmeal, but in terms of the skin, if you apply it topically, it has been shown to have anti-inflammatory properties. So if your skin is itchy, it'll help calm it down. It also helps to retain moisture and to smooth out your skin. So it's a little bit of a heavier product, thicker product, but I think it'll be great for the winter. So Sheeta, you have won for today. Thank you very much for all the participants, everyone that participated and that watched. I hope you guys learned something. And stay tuned. If you see me next time, hopefully Jerry will have me on the show again. We may have you as a winner. So, all right. Be sure to like me on all the platforms, on Instagram as well as on Facebook at Kendra J Derm PA.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned next time. Keep watching. You never know when you're going to bring another show. Just keep watching because we want you to be educated in various topics. If you are a professional in your field and you want to talk about something on the show, feel free to message me to be on the talk table. Any topic, just, let me know and we will have you on the show. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good evening. Stay safe. Thank you, Kendra. It was awesome.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Bye, everybody.